When you see me, what do you see? A Mexican, a Kurd, an American, a Catholic, a Muslim, a second-generation immigrant, a second-generation refugee, a tribe? Or do you see that I am an academic, a humanitarian, a peacekeeper? Many people will see me and judge me by my skin color, by my faith, by my tribe, by my heritage. Education overcomes all judgment. This is why I'm here. Higher education, the benefits. I was always judged. I grew up in a home with 2 ethnicities, 2 races, 2 languages. My parents, my mother Mexican, my father Kurdish. I was a child and I was very confused. I didn't know where I was really from, what to say when people would ask me, "Where is your homeland?" Aside from that, I was living in the United States. I was bullied, laughed at, racism. But it wasn't until I read about my heritage, educated myself, improved myself, read every day about who I was. Every country's history is rich. Every day, I had obstacles. And I realized I was reading in the news daily about genocides, wars, kidnappings. Constant negative news from my mom's side, my dad's side. And I would pray for world peace. I was always wanting to do more for both my sides. And that's where my inspiration came. I wanted to do more for each of my heritage, for humans worldwide. So 4 years ago, I moved to Mexico City. I went to school before, studied abroad, and I went to school always with this goal, to make a difference. 4 years ago, I went to Mexico City and I only had college friends. I wanted to work in public service. I didn't know anyone. All I had was my academic resume, my studies, and knowing who I was. I left it in every single institution, every government department, and I left it there. And I would be called in for interviews. Some of them denied me, some of them didn't even call me. And then the ruling party in Mexico called me. And they said, "You know, we had so many resumes, but we picked yours." And I said, "Why?" "Because of your education." Once I got the job, I was Undersecretary of Immigrants in the ruling party in Mexico. I wanted to do more. What else could I do beside having the responsibilities that I already had? I started Jaff Foundation for Education. Why did I do that? I saw the necessity of the importance of education and to learn English. So many immigrants, Mexican immigrants, Southern countries, going to the United States, looking for a job, resettling elsewhere, similar to refugees, looking for work elsewhere for a better life. So what did I do? I gave them a tool, a book. I wrote English books in my spare time. And I handed them out. I went to immigrant homes. Aside from having that job, Jaff Foundation everybody started to hear about it in Mexico. Other people were inspired by this story. So in the south and in the north of Mexico, people were starting to enroll and putting on Jaff Foundation and saying, "Hey, we're giving English books as well." It wasn't easy. Nobody just gave me a check. Nobody said, "Hey, here's your job." I had to knock on doors to make everything possible. I did cultural awareness events in Mexico, Kurdish cultural awareness events in Mexico, everything based on education. In Mexico, other people started to say, hey, I'm inspired. I went back to school because of you. Not everything has been easy. Everything has consequences as well. When you see my social media accounts, you might say, oh, Hanna won an award. Oh, hey, Hanna did another beneficial event, charity event. But you don't realize the obstacles behind it. How many times I've cried in my office wanting to give up? How many times I say, why am I here by myself in Mexico City without my family? You miss your best friend's engagements, your gatherings, the birthdays and the births of your nieces. You might even lose the love of your life because of it. But in the end, you're following your dream. And you're being an inspiration and a role model to other people that you are capable of. Many people would say, Hanna, be realistic. Hanna, oh, you know, it was easy for you. Why was it easy for me? I got to a country that I didn't know anybody. The only difference was perseverance and education. When you see economies, successful economies in other countries, it's not just luck. It's the citizens that make it successful. It's the education. The prosperity and the peace behind it is education. I have had many haters, people I don't know that hate me, bully me, laughed at me, said no way, told me, come on, if you do that, I'll threaten you with this. You got to be always strong. And you know what always gave me that confidence? My education and knowing who I was. In Mexico, there's 122 million people. 40% of it is in poverty, 10% extreme. Iraq has 30% of poverty, 10% extreme. I understand that there are the hard circumstances. In Mexico, many of those children drop out, and they all have a story behind it. They have to resettle, they're immigrants, forced into human trafficking. But what can we do to improve everybody's lives, to make this world a better place around you? Do you make your family happier, or do you make it more difficult? When I was working, did I really have to write a book to learn English and hand it out? I was making a difference. I always wanted to do that. Because knowing that your existence made a difference in someone else's is true success. Many of us are born, but how many of us live? Walls, bans, we've heard about this so much lately. Sad. How about we change that? Because when you're talking to someone and they bully you and they laugh at you because of where you're from, your education, your circumstance, it's because they're small-minded. They haven't read enough. They haven't informed themselves enough. Education is power, a tool. Let's hand out those tools. Each and every one of us has talent. Let's try to make role models in every generation better than yours. I want my grandchildren to say one day, my grandmother did this, 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 and this, and she influenced me. And that's why I'm here, now doing this. Progress in every single generation. It was never easy. You will feel alone. But education will always give you that security. Knowledge. Everywhere you try to go, everywhere you go, learn something. I always have friends that aren't politicians, most of them. I always try to have friends that are doctors, engineers. musicians, dancers. Why? Because I learned something from them. And they leave something for me to teach them as well. Criticism, hate, obstacles. Always give it aside. Let's stop judging people because of their skin color or the balance on their bank account. True richness is education, higher education. 34% people worldwide only get a higher education. If you inspire others, you're making a help, you're changing others for good. Good calls on good. It's contagious. I didn't go to Mexico and someone published me one day to another. No. Good calls good, so people start talking about it. Other people were joining. Other people were enrolling in school again. They would tell me and they would write to me and they would be like, Hannah, I was on my way in my immigrant home when you gave me an English book to learn English for Spanish speakers. And the only thing I had with me was a bottle of water and my English book that you gave me. 34 hours a day, 24 hours a day walking, north, heat, and the only thing I had was that book. And once he got to the border, he said the authorities got him, and they deported him. And the only thing that he had was knowledge of English, and he could communicate with authorities and defend his dignity and human rights. And that day, I said, wow, I made a difference in his life. And the only thing I had to do was give time. I was already in a political position. I didn't have to write English books. But every day I read, inform myself more, improve myself. Walls, no bans. Education is power. It inspires, and it can inspire an entire nation. It can change lives, and it can make a difference. Unity. Education is unity. Education is peace and prosperity. You managed to do that and make a difference, then you had a successful life. And education should always be your priority. Thank you.